welcome to Live Interactive English. Hi everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
Ooh, we should say buenos dias, everyone.
Oh.
Yo soy Miguel.
Yo soy Sam. I think so.
I think that's okay. I did French.
I did German.
I did German. Oh, we're useless. But we're gonna be more useful along with you guys because soon we will know lots about the Basque Country. In fact, we used the wrong language.
I was going to say, they don't even use Spanish over there.
I apologize. But it is in Spain, so we can use Spanish. But you're right, we should learn about the Basque language because this is a whole culture that is completely separate from Spain.
Yes, and I think this is super interesting. This is another one of those topics where I look at it and I go, wow, I knew nothing about this at all. I didn't even know that this place existed. So I get to learn just right along with everybody else.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty excited about it.
And as you learn, you want to learn more and maybe even travel to this part of the world, but you would be one of millions because the Basque Country, this region of Spain, is very, very popular. So we're going to be looking at why over the next couple of days. And we have a little clue about why in our title, From Gastronomy to the Guggenheim, exploring the Basque Country.
Yes.
Which one would you do first?
Oh, I'd definitely do the Guggenheim.
Really?
I'm not a huge foodie person. I could eat McDonald's every day. I don't really care.
Okay. I would do some gastronomy and then work off my wonderful food, because gastronomy is kind of a fancy way of saying cooking and food. I would work it off by wandering around the Guggenheim. Now, if you don't know what either of those really are, stay tuned. We're going to explain it to you and so much more. So come back and join us in just a second.
In the north of Spain lies an area known as the Basque Country. The Basque Country is considered an autonomous region, which means that though it is not fully independent from Spain, it has its own government. The Basque people have lived there for thousands of years and have their own distinct cultural identity, history, food, and customs. Basque, or Euskara, is an official language of the region along with Spanish. It is also Europe's oldest spoken language and is not related to any other spoken in the world today.
Okay, so we are gonna jump right in with our article about the Basque Country. So again, it's another part of Spain and kind of, I don't know, I think a lot of people maybe don't know very much about it. Like I said, I had never even heard of it. So let's see a little bit about it. It says, in the north of Spain lies an area known as the Basque Country. The Basque Country is considered an autonomous region, which means that though it is not fully independent from Spain, it has its own government. So it's got some connection with Spain, it's connected and physically connected as well, but it does still have its own government, and so it's got its own policies and things like that within the autonomous region.
Interesting. All right, so the Basque people have lived there for thousands of years and have their own distinct cultural identity, history, food, and customs. I guess in some way you could kind of compare it to the Hakka regions, the Kujara, that kind of region of Taiwan. I mean, it's not a different government, but they have their own language, history, culture, food. It's quite distinct from the other parts of Taiwan, from Aboriginal Taiwan or the Chinese culture that came from the mainland, that kind of idea, meaning it's different. That's what we talk about when we're using this adjective distinct. It's different in many noticeable and important ways. There might be some connections in history. There might be no problem with the neighbors, happy feelings between everyone, but this group is different. They're unique. They have their own special history, story, and culture. For example, the artist had a distinct style of painting. A lot of people would say, for example, Van Gogh had a very distinct style of painting, using a lot of paint and sort of, building it up and not making it nice and smooth and perfect and flat. Very unique, very distinct. So let's find out more about the Basque Country. It's interesting. We don't say, I'm going to Basque, it's always I'm going to the Basque Country.
Yes, I
That's
think
how
that
you
part
refer
is
to it.
also very interesting.
Yeah.
And then we get to keep reading. We get to learn a little bit about the language. So it says Basque or Euskara is an official language of the region along with Spanish. So it's not just only Spanish. It does have its own separate, distinct language.
Right.
And as it says here, it is also Europe's oldest spoken language and is not related to any other spoken in the world today. So it's not related to any other spoken language in the world today, which is very interesting because if you know some stuff about languages, you know that there's like the Romance languages, the Germanic languages. There's a bunch of these categories or families of languages where a lot of different modern languages can all find their roots way back at the beginning. But this is not related to any other spoken language in the world. So it's a different family together.
It's very, very strange and very mysterious for people, linguists, people who study language and the history. They really can't really explain where it came from. It's almost like they arrived from space. But I don't think that's how it happened. We'll find out more about the true story of the Basque region after the break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这一次要介绍的旅游景点是位于西班牙北部的巴斯克地区 （Basque Country）。那这个区域被视为自治区。那这意味着，虽然它不是完全独立于西班牙，但它拥有自己的政府。那巴斯克人已经在那边生活了好几千年，他们拥有自己不同的文化认同、历史、饮食还有习俗。他们的官方语言是巴斯克语和西班牙语。那么巴斯克语是欧洲最古老的口语。跟当今世界上任何其他语言都没有关系。老师们这时候在讲到语言的时候，有提到 Romance languages， 这表示罗曼语族；还有 Germanic languages， 则是指日耳曼语族。老师还有用到 linguist 这个名词 ，Linguist，linguist 可以指语言学家。再看到课文单字 distinct。它是形容词，形容明显不同的、有区别的，或者是显著的。Mike 老师解释单字时用到 noticeable， 在 notice 后面加上 able， 那这个单字就是形容显著的、显而易见的。介华课文中。
With access to fresh ingredients from its coastal villages, mountains, and numerous farms, it is unsurprising that the Basque Country is home to an exciting gastronomic scene. In fact, the region has almost 40 Michelin-starred restaurants, many of which regularly rank among the best in the world. However, if these are a little out of your price range, fill up on pinchos instead. These are small finger foods with distinctly Basque flavors, served in bars across the region. Bacalao, a salted cod, is a particular favorite, as are the creamy Spanish omelets.
All right, we are back and we are exploring the Basque Country from gastronomy to the Guggenheim. So let's start with that first thing, gastronomy, because when we're talking about distinct cultures, food can be a big part of it. I mentioned Hakka. I love Hakka food. It's really good. Had it. And it's quite different from other Taiwanese food. So that's an example. Let's look about this one in Spain or in the Basque Country with access to fresh ingredients from its coastal villages, mountains, and numerous farms. It is unsurprising that the Basque Country is home to an exciting gastronomic scene. They have wonderful farmland. They have all sorts of different terrain down by the ocean, up in the mountains. They can catch fish. They can grow fruit. They can do all sorts of good stuff. So, of course, they use that to make excellent food, and not just really tasty food, really interesting food. In fact, some even almost scientific food.
Yes.
It's really, really special.
Yes, and part of what makes it so easy for them to have all this amazing food is that they have good access to the oceans, the mountains, the farms, just all this fresh stuff is very, very easily accessible. And so we have this word access. Access means to kind of have the ability or the opportunity to either get something or get into somewhere. So for example, you could have need access to get into a building. Maybe you have a password that helps you get into a building. But in this case, they're talking about all of these resources that they want to get, and they have access to it because they're right next to the ocean or they're right next to the mountains, not like an inland country that maybe would have to import their seafood or something like that. So they have easy access to these things. And we have an example sentence. It says, the password will give me access to the computer. So type in the password and you are able to get in and use the computer.
There you go. And in this part of the world, they have access to many ingredients. As we mentioned, ingredient is connected to food because ingredients are what you use to make different types of food or different types of dishes. An ingredient can be a food, but when we're talking about ingredients, we're talking about using different types of food, mixing them together in different ways to make a dish. So for example, if you're going to make a cake, you don't just go out and say, I'd like to buy cake. Well, you could, but you're not making it. If you're making it though, you have to buy eggs, sugar, flour, chocolate, things like that. Those will be the ingredients. If you're ever looking at a recipe in a cookbook that tells you how to make a certain type of food, the first thing you will see is a list of ingredients, how much to use, and then how to combine them. The ingredients are the things you buy at the supermarket to make the food. For example, the restaurant only used the most expensive ingredients in its food. Wagyu beef and Russian caviar.
And saffron.
And saffron.
Isn't that really expensive as well?
Yeah, that's expensive too.
Yes, and so then we also had this word numerous, and numerous just means many, many, many of that thing. So if you can tell, it kind of comes from, it looks like it is from the word number. It's got this idea of lots of those things. So you have, there were numerous ways to solve the problem. So we had a problem, but we also had 10 or 11 or 12 or however many different ways that we could fix the problem. So we had many solutions. Now, if we continue on, and we've been talking again about all the fresh ingredients that they can get and how well that they cook and make all this awesome food, and that is solidified in the fact of this next part. So it says, in fact, the region has almost 40 Michelin-starred restaurants, many of which regularly rank among the best in the world. So if you're not quite sure what a Michelin-starred restaurant is, that is a mark of over the whole world that says that this restaurant is really good. And I think it goes up to 5 Michelin stars?
3.
3, okay. And it's really hard to get a Michelin rank. You have lots of rigorous things to kind of pass. And this place doesn't just have 1 or 2, it has 40 in the country. That's a lot.
That is a lot. And of course, they often rank as some of the best restaurants in the world when people make these lists of the first, the top 10, the top 20, the top 100. When we're putting things in a list and ordering them by how good they are or how big they are or something like that, we're measuring them against something and then putting them in a list from number 1, the best, the most, the biggest, to number 10, the smallest or whatever. We are ranking things. When you watch the Olympics, players will be ranked, athletes will be ranked by how fast they run. The fastest will get a gold medal, the third fastest will get bronze, and number 10 will get a pat on the back and try harder next time. That's how we rank things. We judge them based on some kind of value. For example, Jimmy ranks as the best chess player in his state. So in the whole state, Jimmy is the number 1 chess player, but in the whole country, he might be number 12 or something like that.
Yes, and so then again, this is a very big deal that they have not just 1, not just 2, but they've got 40. But of course, Michelin-starred restaurants are on the pricier side because they are really expensive, nice restaurants. So we have this next part that says, however, if these are a little out of your price range, which they might be for a lot of people, it says fill up on pinchos instead. These are small finger foods with distinctly Basque flavors served in bars across the region. Bacalao, a salted cod, is a particular favorite, as are the creamy Spanish omelets. So these are kind of like little small dishes or appetizers that you could get all over.
Exactly. Dim sum in Spain is called tapas, and tapas in the Basque Country is called pinchos, as we saw there. Yes, little dishes, and so you get lots of different flavors. It's kind of a fun way of eating. You can enjoy it with a drink of your choice, and you get different flavors, different tastes in your mouth, sweet, salty, fishy, meaty, eggy, things like that. When we talk about flavor, we're talking about what your brain is telling you you are eating. So if I say, close your eyes and I'll put some food in your mouth, if you're smart, you'll say, no, I don't want to do that. No, if you trust me, you will say, okay, and then I'll put the food in your mouth. And if you taste chocolate, that's a flavor. If you taste tomatoes, that's a flavor too. So when we talk about what the food is, we're basically saying the flavor or what your tongue and your brain are telling you you are eating. Another way you can think of it is we have many types of ice cream, many types of potato chip, but they come with different flavors. Chicken, spicy, seafood. Hopefully that's the potato chips.
I was going to say that's the potato chips,
not
right?
the ice cream, right. Anyway, Eastern and Western foods have very different flavors. Yes, absolutely. All right, guys, that's all the time we have today. I'm getting hungry. I don't know about you, so I will take you to a 1 Michelin-starred restaurant, and we will have a very, very short snack because I don't have that much money.
Yes.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you back here soon. Bye.
巴斯克地区是美食之乡，人们可以从沿海村庄啊、山区，还有众多农场来取得新鲜的食材。课文就提到，这个地区拥有将近40间的米其林星级餐厅，其中许多间经常名列世界最佳餐厅。那刚刚在讲到山区的时候 ，Mike 老师用到 terrain 这个名词 ，T-E-R-R-A-I-N。terrain 表示地形或是地势。那么在讲到米其林星级餐厅时 ，Sam 老师说，餐厅要摘星是很难的，需要通过许多严格标准。老师用到形容词 rigorous，R-I-G-O-R-O-U-S。rigorous 是形容严格的、严谨的或是缜密的。那课文单字 access， 它可以表达使用或是取得什么的机会或方法，或是表达使用权。那在后面加上 IBLE。accessible 它是形容可取得的、可接近的或是可进入的。再看到 ingredient 这个名词表示食材或者是要素，构成要素。老师们在讲到昂贵食材时，有提到 caviar 就是鱼子酱，还有提到 saffron 表示番红花。我们再看到下一个单字 numerous， 它是形容许多的、众多的。那么 rank它是当动词来表达名列、位居什么什么，那么后面的名词通常会是个头衔啊、地位或是名次。好，课文接着介绍当地的竹签小点心，那这些是有显著巴斯克风味的手抓食物，像盐鳕鱼就特别受欢迎，还有柔软滑嫩的西班牙烘蛋也是。Sam 老师这时候有用到 appetizer 这个字 ，A-P-P-E-T-I-Z-E-R，appetizer 表示开胃菜或者是餐前的开胃小吃。那我们的课文单字 flavor 则是表达口味啊、味道或是滋味的意思。那这边3个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看第一个重点是 be home to 加名词，表示某地拥有什么什么、什么什么的所在地。那么 home 在这边是当不可数名词。举例来说 ，The city is home to many beautiful beaches。这座城市呢拥有许多美丽的海滩。那补充一个相关用法是 be the home of 加名词，则是指说某地是什么的发源地、栖息地。这时候 home 是当单数可数名词用。例如 Australia is the home of the kangaroo， 澳洲是袋鼠的栖息地。那第二重点是 many of which 的用法。关系代名词 which 前面可以加上量词啊、数字、百分比、最高级等等，加上 of 去表达所占的比例，用非限定用法去补述说明先行词。那么 many of which 指的就是其中许多怎么样怎么样。例如 Dave has a huge collection of CDs。Many of which were bought in the 90s. Dave 收藏了一大堆 CD， 其中许多是在90年代买的。 那第3个重点是 as 可以当连接词来表达也是如同。那我们用句型 as be 动词加主词，或者是 as 助动词加主词，可以用来表达跟前方子句的主词做了相同的事情，去表达说正如什么什么点点点也是。好，那么当前方子句用 be 动词的话，我们 as 后面也要用 be 动词。当前方子句是用一般动词的话，我们就要根据时态还有人称，在 as 的后方使用适当的助动词。这边看2个例句会比较清楚。第一个例句是 Ed is a baseball fan, as are his children. Ed 是棒球迷，他的孩子们也是。Amy likes to dance, as does her daughter. Amy 喜欢跳舞，她女儿也是。好，那么以上今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
In the north of Spain lies an area known as the Basque Country. The Basque Country is considered an autonomous region, which means that though it is not fully independent from Spain, it has its own government. The Basque people have lived there for thousands of years and have their own distinct cultural identity, history, food, and customs. Basque, or Euskara, is an official language of the region along with Spanish. It is also Europe's oldest spoken language and is not related to any other spoken in the world today. With access to fresh ingredients from its coastal villages, mountains, and numerous farms, it is unsurprising that the Basque Country is home to an exciting gastronomic scene. In fact, the region has almost 40 Michelin-starred restaurants, many of which regularly rank among the best in the world. However, if these are a little out of your price range, fill up on pinchos instead. These are small finger foods with distinctly Basque flavors, served in bars across the region. Bacalao, a salted cod, is a particular favorite, as are the creamy Spanish omelets.
Hey, it's KiWi on the street. I'm Kiki.
And I'm Winnie.
We have a lot of visitors in Taiwan all the time from all sorts of countries. But we are often asked questions in English, and sometimes we have to think about it in Chinese. So today we are going to work on some translation.
Let's go.
All right, so let's work on some translation. Please pick one for me. 我想订这礼拜五晚上7点2位。
I want to make a reservation for 2 people at least Friday at 7 p.m.
I want to order for 2 people at Friday night, and it's about 7 o'clock.
Very good, very good. So we have, I'd like to make a reservation for this Friday at 7 p.m. for 2 people. Okay, we have 有什么建议的吗?
Do you have any recommendations?
Any suggestions?
Is there any suggestion?
Is there any suggestions or do you have any recommendations? All right, what did we learn today? Let's take a look at some other ways we can translate the phrases that we saw today. I'd like to reserve a table for 2 at 7 p.m. this Friday. You can also say, I'd like to make a reservation for 7 p.m. this Friday for 2, please. Our next phrase, what do you recommend? You can also ask, do you have any suggestions? And these are the translations that we learned today. KiWi later!